The FUD has played an important role in idiocy, an existence which has been ridiculed and denounced, served misery and annoyance alike, and carries with it gross moral hypocrisy. To understand the FUD is to better understand idiocy.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of Tales of the FUD. I am your host, Mike B. Today we've got a couple more stories from YouTube viewers / subscribers that they posted in the comments on the first video. We're still on those stories, so just be aware this is going to be a long series. But some pretty cool stories of some tales that they have with some fuddery that they experienced. We're doing 2 stories. One of them is a little bit longer, and then one of them is a little bit shorter, but they're both very relevant and very relatable. So, before we get into that, like I said, on every episode, I'm just going to give a brief definition of what a FUD is so everybody's on the same page if you weren't on the same page when you watched this video. And just because not everybody's going to be starting at the beginning of the series, some people will jump on later on and then they'll go start over. They might not understand the context of why these stories are relevant. But I'm going to give the definition of the FUD and then we'll go from there. So, the overall agreed upon definition is something that I've kind of put together from Urban Dictionary and their definitions on there, and some of my own personal added information. So we'll just start. It's a slang term for a casual gun owner, usually like somebody that just has firearms for hunting or shotgun sports, and doesn't truly believe in or support the true premise of the Second Amendment. These people also generally treat owners / users of non-sporting firearms, like semi-automatic rifles and handguns and stuff like that, with unwarranted scorn or contempt. And then a little bit from the second definition on Urban Dictionary that I pulled that kind of explains the name and the reason it's called, or it's referred to as a FUD, is from the Looney Tunes character Elmer Fudd. And if you don't know who that is, I feel really sorry for you. Your childhood wasn't nearly as fun and cool as mine, I guess. But anyway, he's a cartoon character, and in the show, Elmer, like a lot of these people, is very slow, dumb, and happily clueless. And then I will add to it with some of my personal definition to kind of broaden the horizons to include people who just don't really know anything about firearms in general, but claim to. And they also, you can tell these people are just regurgitating facts when usually it's just bullshit myths. And you can just, you kind of pick up an ear for that after a while. You can kind of tell, okay, this is what we're dealing with, probably. But at the same time of this, they spew all this stuff and they support legislation, or don't oppose legislation rather, that threatens to ban or restrict, guns designed for war, or army guns, or whatever, some stupid shit like that they call it. And while at the same time being against army guns or military-style guns for civilian possession or use, they also tout that the 1911 handgun is the single best platform of all time, 2 world wars, blah, blah, and you're an idiot and a retard if you don't agree with their personal preference about that. And because their personal preference is based on other people's personal preference, they have brand loyalty and they're talked into whatever is the best, and they don't just do not go away from that particular mindset. So basically, to sum it up, these people are generally clueless, arrogant, judgmental, and usually they're older, but that is not a requirement at all. I think there are more old FUD types nowadays at this present time, but there's a lot of younger ones in there that I've personally witnessed and heard stories of, and that sucks because that just means that this whole mentality is going to keep perpetuating with the generations as they come. So that's always fun, hopeful for the future. Now that we got that kind of out of the way, basically the whole point of this series is just to expose experiences from myself, friends, and viewers of the channel that we've had with these types of people, and to get a good laugh pretty much, and also to let everyone that you're not alone and possibly learn how to deal with these people so nobody has a super bad day. So that's kind of that. Now, all that aside, we'll get into the stories. So this is from Goat-tacular, who is a regular on the channel. If you've been subscribed to me for a while, you guys probably know who he is. He's on the live streams a lot and whatever. He was also an RSO at one point, and he's got plenty of stories. So here's when he had... Another funny experience I had with a FUD and AR-15s is this FUD to my left on the shooting line started bitching about us AR-AK guys rapid firing. We weren't rapid firing, we were each shooting maybe once every 10 seconds, but there were 3 or 4 of us, so it sounded like it was rapid. Yeah, okay, I know where this is going already. He's sitting there with some pension-funded bolt-action rifle and scope setup, probably worth more than my car. He tells us we should be shooting real guns, that it's 30 cal or nothing. The other guys ignore him, but I put my rifle down, go to my car, and pull out my super slick shooting 1943 Long Branch Enfield number 4 Mark 1 Star that I think had the action blueprinted at one point, because damn, it cycles effortlessly in his sub-MOA. So is mine. Mine's a 42, I believe. Yeah, mine's a 42. I love those Long Branch number 4 Mark 1 stars. They're awesome. And iron sights, and then with the Mark 1 milled rear sight, of course. Yeah, those are nice. I set it down and opened up my case of hand-loaded 303 British. The FUD nods at me with approval. Once loaded, I then aim at the target at 50 yards and proceed to mag dump all 10 rounds in 12 seconds into an 8-inch group. The FUD looks horrified like I'd butchered a sacred cow, and I turn to my buddies and say, now that's rapid fire. The FUD packed up and left when he saw me load the next 10 rounds, and I asked my buddies if they think I could beat 12 seconds. It felt glorious. Yeah, I'm up until now, I haven't been this proud of one of my YouTube viewers and their stories than I have now. Yes, Enfields are awesome for rapid firing, and it's a 30 cal deer rifle. So yeah, these FUDs that are sitting there, the rapid fire stuff, it's like, dude, unless you're doing an unsafe mag dump or something like that, you're gonna have to just deal with it at the range. And sure, it's a waste of ammo and it can be annoying, but it's to be expected. You don't just sit there. You can't expect everyone else to just be quiet and shoot one round every 10 minutes like you do, and then go down and check the target and and then walk back slowly like this is a recurring thing that keeps coming up. It's really bullshit when people do that. So I'm glad you, and also you've packed up and left when he saw you load the next 10 rounds. That's great. So yeah, I'm really glad you did that. That's the way to handle this kind of thing. It just kind of makes them look like an idiot, because usually they are. Or they're just very misled and not really willing to get themselves to be unmisled. Yeah, okay, whatever. I'm just going to leave it there. That made sense in my head. Hopefully it made sense. Anyway, he said edit, too. He edited the comment. He says, I have a bunch of FUD stories from my time as an RSO. This is just one of my favorites. I can go on for hours about the FUD jackassery I've seen and heard. Lots of old timers in this area. That's actually how I picked up that Enfield in 2020 for a mere $200. Consignment rack at the local gun shop. Sells a lot of estate guns. Grieving families unload on them and they price them to move. Yes, please keep the stories coming. You have a lot of experiences in RSO. And we'd love to hear your stories. I think the other comments after that said the same thing. Like, yes, keep them coming. So please do, GOAT. Keep the stories coming. And yeah, that's good that you got that for $200. That's actually what I paid for my 1942 Long Branch in, I think, 2004 or 5 at a gun show. So I think you got a decent deal. That's a really good thing. And yeah, like the Enfield, like the story, keep it up. So this next one is from Jeff Fleming. I don't know if this is long enough to fit in as a tale of the FUD. Either way, it certainly is a tale of one, albeit brief. That's fine. You can submit however short or long story you want. I'll find a way to fit them in, either with other stories or at the end of a video like this or something like that. So a few years ago, I got my first Garand. A 70-something man I go to church with served in the Army during the late 50s. And I figured I'd learn more about the M1 or M1A pattern from him, or platform. Initially quite knowledgeable and helpful, he explained where to grease it, how much to use, etc., etc. Well, later on, I mentioned my AR, and he says, oh, I think those belong where they were intended, in the military. Now, let's just break this down really quick and analyze this. He had to have known that when he was in the military, he used the M1 or the M14, most likely the M1 at that point in the late 50s. And how would he not understand that that was a military weapon and that it's fine that civilians have that, and then an AR-15 is technically not a military weapon. There was a few of them used at the very beginning during testing and trials and stuff, but mainly the military bought the AR-15 platform, made it into a full auto or select fire platform, and then called it the M16, which is fun because, the AR-15, while tiny numbers of them have been used in the military, it's not the same thing. But even to get into that and explain it to a 70-something-year-old guy, that's not gonna matter anyway. So pick your battles. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's just didn't register with them or something like that. I don't know. People are just weird with that kind of stuff. But I'm glad he helped you learn how to maintain your M1 a little bit better, so it can give it a little bit more service life. But yeah, I don't understand why people think that they're in the military. I think it's because of the appearance of it. Like they have the synthetic stock because it lasts longer. It doesn't rot as fast in the jungle or a humid environment as wood does, and they just kind of get this in their head that that's a military weapon. Well, so is the M1 and the M1A platforms. Again, it's a select fire. It became the M14 and all that stuff. Those are also military weapons, but who cares? Just because they look a certain way, it doesn't make them any worse or any more dangerous than an M1. I think is a little bit, just a little bit dangerous, especially at 1,000 yards. Whereas an M16, you're getting really out there when you're at 1,000 yards, even with a 20-inch barrel. So just throwing that out there. Anyway, that's all I've got. That's what my opinion is on those two stories. Thank you both for taking the time to comment. If you want to have a story featured and you have a story that actually happened to you, feel free to throw it in the comments or look up Mike B on Facebook. That's a page for my channel. It's not my personal page. And yeah, you can just send me a message on there and everything. And if, maybe you'll make it on one of these videos. And yeah, I appreciate what you guys have submitted so far. This is really fun for me to do, and it's really easy. But it's fun to have kind of a lessons learned about these FUDs and all that stuff, and just kind of how to deal with them. So yeah, keep them coming, guys. So also, I'd like to take this time to thank my sponsors, who are my Patreon supporters and channel members. You guys have been awesome the past couple of years. The community's been growing quite a bit, and it's been allowing me to make a lot of cool content and get cool props that I otherwise wouldn't be able to do just funding the channel out of pocket like I had been for many years. And so, yeah, we did a lot of good ballistic tests this year at Devon K, and that was not possible without Patreon. Like, we did some really expensive and kind of uncommon helmets, and the results were worth it. Very interesting. But yeah, we keep doing that for, we're going to be doing like ballistic tests on body armor, et cetera, and some other videos that take a lot of money. Like, and for if you're into the history style of my channel or the history part of it, that World War I French, or whatever you pronounce it, soldier uniform, that was very expensive and very hard to get. And again, Patreon funded a lot of that. It was kind of 50-50. So anyway, $5 a month or more on either method of support gets you into my Discord server, which is really cool. It's very interactive. There's quite a few people on there. It's very fun and also very informative. And you can get kind of sneak peeks of what we're doing and, people's new acquisitions that they get, and they get good deals and stuff like that. And also people post, hey, I want to, this is at a local gun store. Does anybody want this? Because I can get it. It's pretty cool. So things like that. And if you want to support me, but you can't do it financially, I totally understand that. You can just do what the usual support methods are that don't cost anything. Is give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the notification bell if that even does anything, throw a comment down there with what you thought of the video, and also sharing this video out really helps. If you think it's fun or somebody can learn something from it, or it's just kind of fun to troll somebody that you might know that fits into this category, hey, by all means, share it out. That helps support me very much too. And so if you're in the third category and you're just kind of like, no, I don't want to do that, well, you've already supported me by watching this video, so I appreciate everyone who watches my videos, and past, present, and in the future. We'll see you on the next episode of Tales of the FUD.